Now, it's a little bit different from how I normally do my videos. I figure once I hit a K, I can do it live, and I'm just starting to realize now that a brother desperately needs to shave. I'll take care of that after I do this live. I finally got my son down for a nap, so I figure I can go ahead and do this, take care of this video right now. Now, I know normally people wait for people to get into the live and start talking and whatnot, but I'm also gonna take this video and edit it up anyway, so might as well shoot it. So, three subjects, typically what I do when I do my podcast. I'm gonna do the same thing for this live. We got Elgin Baylor, the sad passing of Elgin Baylor today. We're also gonna talk about the NCAA tournament so far, and also the LeBron injury and what that means for the Lakers going forward this year, because it ain't looking too good if you ask me. Now, go ahead and get it started. We're talking Elgin Baylor. All right. So Elgin Baylor, Lakers legend, small forward, averaged 27, 4, and 13. 4 assists, 13 rebounds. At 6'5", I believe he was. At 6'5", that means he's 2 inches taller than me, balled out. Unbelievable talent. Sorry to see him pass. He did live a full life. I'm not gonna say in front, 86 years, I believe it was. That's a full life. So condolences to the family, to Laker Nation. I know this one hurts as well. I know the team can use this to rally. This is probably going to use it the same way they use Kobe, because Kobe was just 40. But looking at this is a little bit more of a different kind of passing. So condolences to the family, to the players and teammates he had that are still alive. I know they're gonna do some things like a memorial or something like that. The Lakers will probably do a Elgin Baylor patch on the jerseys or something like that. And granted, they're gonna need something, because right now the team is spiraling out of control. So I'm not wanting to see the team fall the way they are, but that's what it's looking like currently. Now, to get off the Elgin Baylor news and move on to the NCAA tournament, I got the bracket right here in front of me. It's a live ticking bracket, so as it's going, so will I be. But looking at the tournament so far, I mean, right now it is Gonzaga and Baylor. That's it. As far as the top squads, that's how I'm looking at it. I think Oral Roberts just upset Florida right now, so that's happening. That just happened. So Oral Roberts, a 15 seed, just knocked out Ohio State and Florida, and I'm moving on to the Sweet 16 to take on Arkansas. Now, Arkansas is a very dangerous ball club. They can score with almost anybody. And after watching how Arkansas came out and played against Colgate gave them a push, but Arkansas kind of got back, stood their ground, used their bodies, and was just scoring on the inside, taking advantage of that, and did the same thing in the Texas Tech game. So I'm seeing Arkansas, they're going to want to pound this. Now, this right here is a perfect chance for them to ride it out to the Elite Eight. I believe that Arkansas can go ahead and beat Oral Roberts. I mean, right now, Oral Roberts is playing outstanding ball. They are playing well above their means. And as a 15, I can't remember the last time a 15 got to the Elite Eight, but I'm telling you right now, if Oral Roberts gets there, they're playing with house money. Literally, in the Sweet 16, they're playing with house money. If they win, everyone's going to be happy. If they lose, hey, good run. Because who really saw Oral Roberts walking up, smacking Ohio State upside the head, and then doing the same thing to Florida? Because typically, you ride the high of, oh, we did it. And now I'm seeing a lot of these other teams aren't riding that high. The way this is happening is mainly because of parity. Every school has a dog, has a guy who can go get it. Keep in mind where guys like CJ McCollum, Damian Lillard, Steph Curry, where they went to school. They didn't go to powerhouses. They went to smaller programs with big fish, small pond, and showed out. So that's how I'm choosing to look at this team too. They got in there, they showed out, they did what they had to do. And I'm looking at these teams in that same sense now. When you look at the rest of this bracket, all right, so we got next another matchup, the Sweet 16 matchups that are already pretty much locked in. We got Baylor, Villanova, and honestly, it's Baylor's to lose. Nova is okay, but they're not good enough in my eyes to actually move on and win this game. I don't see Nova having the talent to beat Baylor. Baylor's just too deep for how good. I said this to a friend of mine. I said, for how good Gonzaga is, that's how deep Baylor is. They brought that entire team back for the most part that I believe would have won a natty last year. So looking at how this is going on, how this is constructed, I'm taking Baylor to pretty much run out of the South right about now. I mean, they didn't play around with Hartford. They didn't play around with Wisconsin. I think Baylor's in it to win the ship. I don't think Nova can beat them. Now, on the bottom half of that bracket, Arkansas is the most dangerous team in the bottom half of that bracket. Arkansas, I believe, will be Oral Roberts. And you got Arkansas, Baylor. I'm taking Baylor to get to the Final Four at that point. Then we're going to stay on that same side of the bracket. We'll go to the Midwest. You have Loyola, Chicago, who just beat Illinois a day ago, going head-to-head here with Oregon State, who just beat Oklahoma State. So there's two underdog teams going in it. And honestly, I'm taking Loyola over Oklahoma State. I just believe that once you beat the top dog in your bracket. Now, Illinois was a week one. I'm not going to sit here and say that Illinois was this amazing ball club. They were a week number one. So with this being the case here, I'm taking Loyola over Oregon State. And then you got Syracuse, Houston. I'm taking Houston. I got Houston in the Final Four there. So far in the Final Four, we have Baylor, we have Houston. The other matchups on the East bracket have not been set yet. So far, Oregon is the only team advanced. The bulk of these games happen later on today or happening right now. And then you have on the West bracket, these these matchups haven't been solidified, but you do have Gonzaga, who beat Oklahoma earlier, and then you also have Oregon, who beat Iowa earlier. And I believe Oregon's a very dangerous team. This Oregon team reminds me a lot of that Texas Tech team that almost did it. And as far as how they play, they can shoot, they can rebound, they can attack. They're very, very balanced. And when you face a balanced team, there's really no way to beat them outside of playing your best game. And if you're going to play Oregon the way they have been playing ball pretty much since the beginning of February, you're going to have to play your best game if you're going to beat Oregon. That's just how this is looking. That's how this is balancing itself out to me. Now, Oregon did lose to Oregon State in the Pac-12 tournament, but I will say that Oregon State team rode a high. And if you can ride it for as long as you can, but they couldn't ride it all the way to a ship. I'm believing Oregon can ride this all the way out. That's just how I see that. So that's how I'm looking at the tournament. So at this point, I'll take Gonzaga coming out of the West, beating Oregon, but Oregon's going to keep that game really close. I really believe that. I know Kansas and USC are set to play tonight, and then you have Creighton and Ohio set to play tonight as well. Now, Creighton's no sleep. Don't sleep on Creighton. They're like that. So I look at Creighton the same way I look at a lot of other teams. Now, the East bracket, you got Michigan still alive, going against LSU. It's a dangerous matchup, but I will take Michigan in that game. Not Michigan, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'll take Michigan in that game. Then you have FSU, Colorado. Both teams, did what they had to do to come out and win. I'll take FSU over Colorado, and that's mainly because I think FSU was the best team in the ACC from post to post. Even though Virginia won the conference and then Florida State lost to Georgia Tech, I still believe Florida State is the best ball club in the ACC. From the beginning of the year to now, they were the best team. So I'm going to roll with the Seminoles on that one. Then the last two matchups is UCLA and Abilene Christian. I believe I said their name correctly. I always butcher Abilene Christian. And right now, UCLA is up by 18. I think they're going to hold on anyway. And then you have Alabama and Maryland. And this is a different matchup. I really like the Terps, but a part of me says Bama's just too good of a team. Now, the SEC is known for having 1 to 2 really good teams, and then the conference falls where it does. But this is not your granddaddy's SEC. Keep in mind, Kentucky, done. So you had Bama that was really good this year. I really liked Tennessee earlier in the year. So with Alabama, I believe they were probably one of the better teams along with LSU this year, but I really don't want to pick Maryland in that game. I'm going to take Bama. And I got Bama, UCLA, with Bama winning that, and I got Bama, Michigan, and I'm taking, these are 2 football schools fighting for the Final Four. But I'll take Michigan. I'll take Michigan in that one. Michigan gets to the Final Four. So on that side, you got Michigan, Gonzaga, Baylor on the other side, along with Houston. Baylor, Houston, taking Baylor, battling Texas. I'm taking Baylor. And then you have Gonzaga and Alabama. I'm sorry, not Alabama, but Michigan. Gonzaga, Michigan. That's the toughest matchup I gotta pick because I really, really love Michigan and what they built. But I'm gonna take Gonzaga because I think this is their year. If they could get in, if they have a chance to win any year, it's this year. The year they played UNC, I believe they were good enough to do it, but that UNC team was just too hungry, especially how they came across and lost the year before. They wanted that one a whole lot more. So looking at this one, I'll take Gonzaga in the Natty over Baylor, even though I love what Baylor does. In those kind of games, you take the team with the best players in that kind of sense. It's very rare that a team with the best players don't win the Natty, especially when they got there. So keep on, like I said, that UNC team had the better players, they won it. Same thing with Duke when they played Wisconsin. They had the better players, they won that game. So it just happens to balance itself out that way. Now, I'm taking Gonzaga. If Gonzaga loses, it is what it is. But I'll be honest with you, they need to do it now because it's not going to be pretty come the next couple of years because I see what UNC is building. I see what Duke is trying to build. Because a lot of these teams now aren't going for those guys who are going to be one and done because you get them, you can't really build because the bricks are gone. They're there for a year and they're gone. Take a look at what the one and done did to Duke this year. Look what the one and done did to Kentucky. You can't build without a foundation. So I can see why Carolina kind of doesn't go for those guys often. They go for one guy and they build a team. Because if you don't build a team, you don't have a foundation, it's tough to say, hey, look, we got all this talent here. Come on, number one player in the class or number two player in the class. You can come here, ball out with a great team around you. So looking at it that way, I believe because these other marquee programs are starting to go back to how they used to build their teams, I'm looking at Gonzaga saying this year has to be your year. Now, moving on to the final subject. You guys know I don't like to be in front of you too long. I like to get right to the point. LeBron's injury could possibly doom the Lakers season if AD doesn't come back and carries them. So right now, they're 5 games up on the Mavericks, who are the 8 seed currently. I don't want to say LA could miss the playoffs, but I'm going to be honest and tell you, I believe LA could miss the playoffs. And here's why. I looked at the schedule for the next 3 to 3.5 weeks. Here are the teams they're playing. Pelicans, 76ers, Cavs, Magic, Bucks, Kings, Clippers, Raptors, Heat, Nets, Jazz, Celtics, Hornets, Knicks. I don't like any of these matchups for the most part for LA. Keep in mind, this is with they don't have AD and they also don't have LeBron. Are they, and I'm gonna just do a check, are they beating the Pelicans? No. Can they beat the Sixers? Sixers have been known to have hot and cold nights, but I believe that even without Embiid, the Sixers just have more talent. I don't think they're beating the Sixers. I think they can beat the Cavs on a good night. I think they can beat the Cavs. How about the Magic? The Magic are looking to move Aaron Gordon. There's a piece out of your way. Do you see them beating the Magic? Honestly, I don't. I don't see them beating the Magic. How about the Bucks? I think we're all saying no to that. The Kings, I think the Kings are decent. They're not a great team by any standard, but they're decent enough to beat LA. But I don't think they're going to beat LA. I'll take them over the Kings, the Clippers. Let's go ahead and start laughing now. How about the Raptors? I think they can beat the Raptors. So that's 1, 2, 3 wins right there. How about the Heat? I think that's a no. The Nets, do we even have to ask? The Jazz, they're coming in 100% healthy. What about the Celtics? The Celtics need that dub, and I don't think the Lakers are going to win that. So how about that being a no? Let's take a look at the Hornets. You think they're going to beat the Hornets? Now, here's where this gets interesting for the Hornets. They don't have LaMelo Ball the rest of the year. You're a potential rookie of the year. I believe he's rookie of the year. Give it to him. Give it to him. At this point, even though he's going to miss the end of the season, still was the best rookie. Are you talking about anybody else other than LaMelo? No, you're not. But since he's not on the court, I think the Hornets have a decent ball club. It's a toss-up, but I'm gonna give it to LA. I'm gonna give it to LA. In the Knicks. The Knicks are a tough out. I thought I'd never say that again about the New York Knicks, but they're a tough out. Here's what we're looking at for New York. They are a very balanced but young team learning how to win. They're going to go up against this LA team, which may have AD back by then, but still will be without LeBron. I think you need LeBron on this Laker team to beat the New York Knicks. And that's a tough say, but I really do believe that. So that's a loss there. So we're looking at the wins. 1, 2, 3, 4 wins. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 losses. So that's 4 and 10 over the next 14 games. I just don't see that going well for them. But guys, let me know what you think about all of this in the comment section, because I'm looking at LeBron and I'm saying this may not look too good. Now, it's granted it's a high ankle sprain. Those happen. But keep in mind, he's not really a guy who's going to just shoot you out the gym. He can shoot better than he's ever had in his past, but he's not a shooter. That you either are or you aren't when it comes down to that. And LeBron's not. He's still gonna be, let me get to the cup if I'm gonna drive, or maybe I can back you down and make a move. But he's not that. I'm gonna pull up for 20 jump shots and knock down 15 of them. He's not that kind of guy. And keep this in mind, guys. This is second leg injury. Well, leg-ish injury. First one was a groin. Now it's a high ankle sprain. I think the miles are catching up. So if I'm LA, I make some moves as quickly as I can to put as much talent on that team as I can. Because right now, what the Lakers are LeBron or bust. Because that team isn't coming out the West without LeBron. I know a lot of people saying, but the Jazz are young, and the Jazz are good. But the Suns are young. The Suns are good. I was saying that back in the bubble. I believe the Suns, had they played that way, and I said it in an earlier video, like way back about a year ago, that if the Suns played the way they did in the bubble the entire season, they would be a 4 seed. Right now, they're the 2. They went from not in the playoffs to the 2, and all they added really was Chris Paul. Now, does he make that much of a difference? Possibly so. But I think what makes the most difference is that a lot of teams skated, and I don't mean teams, I mean players, skated to the Eastern Conference. Keep in mind how many new players in the Eastern Conference there are just this year, dribbling the ball in the Eastern Conference for the first time this year. Harden, Westbrook, KD, all of those guys left from the West, went to the East. Now, granted, some of it was in trades, some of it was forced, some of it wasn't, but still, when you pack a conference in the way the East is packed, that shows you the effect that LeBron's having on those franchises. The fact that everyone in the East went West when he took over, and then when he went West, they went East. I don't care what anyone says. I'm not going to sit here and say that this other player is better than LeBron when no one's running from you. Now, I know I'm going a bit of a tangent. Matter of fact, let's go on this tangent. I haven't even thought about this one. I ain't scripted nothing. I ain't really even had a conversation with it. But I remember seeing a post on Facebook that said LeBron versus KD. LeBron's only beat him once in the finals. KD beat him twice. Well, KD had 3 of the Hall of Famers on his team. And not to mention, he went there after they won 73 games, lost 9, and put you out the playoffs after you were up 3-1. I can't respect it, sir. I'm sorry. I mean, hey, congratulations. When you retire, your plaque or whatever is gonna say 2-time NBA champion, or if you happen to win one of that super loaded team up in Brooklyn, because right now, I mean, they've loaded up. I mean, they got LaMarcus Aldridge, which I'm not so that he's even going to be worth it anymore. So that's LaMarcus Aldridge. They got Blake Griffin. Of course, everyone knows Harden, Irvin himself, and then the bench basically at that point. So is this going to be a title that you can respect? I'm gonna go on a limb and say maybe. if they beat LA. And that's as far as it goes. Only way I can respect this title coming out of Brooklyn is if they beat LA. Because literally what this does is gives him the same team for the most part that he had in Golden State, but constructed with different players. Oh, I got a two guard who can light it up from deep. Harden and Klay Thompson. Oh, I got a point guard who got the ball on a string, can cross anyone up, and it's a pretty good three-point shooter. Steph Curry. Have you met Kyrie Irving? Oh, and I'm pretty much going to play the three because I got a four who's not as athletic as he used to be, but is serviceable, can get me rebounds, and can be kind of doggish when you need him to. Hey, Blake Griffin, have you ever met Draymond Green? Oh, yeah. Matter of fact, and at center, we don't really need you to be great, but you can get out there and get us, I don't know, 8-8. Any big that ever played in Golden State? Have you met LaMarcus Aldridge? It's legitimately the same roster, just with different guys filling those roles. Now, you can say the coaching isn't as good. Well, guess what? Hey, point guard who played in the 90s and won championships and played with some of the greatest players of all time. Have you ever met the coach for the Nets who did the same thing? So it's like that. I'm sorry, there's no other way to put that. It's just kind of like that. Now, I don't want to sit here and discredit anything that KD's done in his career, but I will not sit here and say that LeBron James is not the most influential player that's in the game right now. He's the reason why people are leaving a certain conference. Keep this in mind. The man was in the East. Everyone say all the talent's in the West. I don't respect LeBron because he ain't going to make it. He go to the West. He ain't going to make the finals. He went to the West and not only made the finals, but won it in his first full healthy season. Now, granted, he had to blow the team up to get it there. But, I mean, you tell me if that whole team with all those other guys that they had on that LA roster were going to be good enough to get them to the finals, I don't believe they were. But the way I'm looking at it right now, LA seriously has to try to win. They have to go 500. In these next 14 games that they have, without LeBron, and some of it's going to be without AD, they have to go 500. If they don't, they're going to be staring at quite the uptick when it comes down to how they're going to try to make the postseason here. Because right now, they're 5 games up on the Mavericks. And if you go 4-10 in your next 14, you're only 5 games up, you're needing this team to slide in at least 9 of these next 14 games themselves to keep you afloat. So let me know what you guys think about this down in the comment section below. Like I said, this is my first live, kind of sketchy on it. I'm not really sure if I'm going to do this too often, but let me know what you think about everything I just talked about down in the comment section below. My name is Jay the Reporter, signing out. Peace.